Hi. There's a few of you I haven't met before. I'm trying to think where to start. I have a master's in library science and a graduate diploma in knowledge management. Those are my certificates, I guess. I have worked in the federal government. I have worked in the university environment. I have worked in the private sector as a librarian, as a CIO. I have worked as an executive in the federal government. And since 2003, I worked in consulting houses as well for a while. And since 2003, I have been consulting. I did not expect to have a career in consulting in libraries. I expected to be doing a lot of business and management type work, but the libraries, particularly the federal library system, has kept me quite busy since 2003, and so far hasn't let up. So I'm here to tell you there are opportunities out there, if that interests you. It's interesting that, you know, here I am talking about my career in, when I was in library school. I won't hesitate to say when, but I had to write a paper for one of my final courses, and the title of that paper was Alternative Careers for Librarians. And I was going to try to dig it out today. It's typed, of course, because there were no computers then that would type. But I have a pretty good idea of what it said. And I think that paper has come up in talks I have made for the past 30 years, and here we are again. And there just seems to be more and more opportunities all the time. So the only other thing I'll say is I started my actual career in the federal libraries in Ottawa in the, at that time, Health and Welfare Library. It was, at the time, one of the most revered libraries in the country, for sure, and certainly within the federal library system. That was in 1978. In about 2 or 3 years after that, I can't quite pinpoint the actual date, we were all shocked and horrified to hear that that library was closed. And pretty much, if I look back, I have been, whether I was working in the libraries, with the libraries, or for the libraries, we have been contracting and expanding throughout this entire period. So I'm not sure that, except for, I think, this point in time, we have new opportunities, that things are really any different looking back. But you guys are sitting there looking forward, so we should talk about that. My hope is that I can provide you with context. James gave us a really interesting view of the global environment and what libraries can be doing, and some interesting information about innovation and how to be an innovative individual, perhaps, and an innovative service. And I know later Jeremy's going to be walking us through some stuff that is very specific at the personal level. So my objective is to give you something in between, sort of targeting the system-wide level of the federal environment. I don't really, I'm sure, need to tell you what's going on. All of you have had that experience. Sorry, that's okay, you messed with my presentation.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you. And I would like to say thank you to Springer for inviting me, because it actually gave me a reason to take a step back and have a look. And that was a good thing. So I hope that you find my observations either interesting or controversial. And please don't hesitate to shout out or put your hand up, even if I'm in the middle of talking. Okay, I'd rather have a conversation. We're not a room of 300. So this was originally entitled Challenges in Our Current Environment, and I decided we had enough of that word, so we're going for discovery, which we all know how to do.
I stole your notes here as well.
Oh, not that I could see them anyway, but thank you very much. Okay, here we are. So current environment, we have lots of things going on. You have to go all the way down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullets before you hit the one that you're probably most feeling at the moment. But the fact of the matter is, the libraries I've been working with in the federal government have launched new knowledge-related initiatives. and are continuing to do so even in the current environment. Certainly, librarians have been engaged in, what shall I say, encouraging collaboration in departments and learning, as we always have. We all know about social media, and we'll know more later. Virtual service and digital resources. Don't think that's anything you haven't heard already. E-discovery is something that librarians are being asked to do a great deal of. The litigation searches that are so popular now. And of course, we have these other things called deficit reduction. They used to be called things like program review, strategic review. Actually, 6 and 5 was one of the very first ones. So they seem to always be around. What we are seeing a little more of, I suspect, is consolidation. And consolidation is now happening more between departments than within departments. Most of the large organizations have already been through internal consolidation of their library services. And now I think we're looking at some broader consolidation as the government adopts its whole of government approach. And it has expressed a preference for shared service models, which I think is very interesting. We also have something going on in the rest of information management. That's IM, as opposed to instant messaging. There is real convergence happening there, and I don't know how many of you may have colleagues, librarians, who work in other parts of the information management realm. More and more, I see that sort of thing happening. The other areas are increasing demands around foresight services, analysis services, what we call intelligence, and even pop-up libraries that are required in situations where there's emergencies and things like that. So there's quite a few interesting things. I don't know if any of you have any non-traditional model of library service that you'd want to share with the rest of the group, but I seem to see all kinds of interesting examples. So my little cartoon there, as you see, can you read it? So information is what we've always provided, and now I think we need to figure out how to help them figure out what to do with it. I think we're being stretched in all those different directions. So as you see here, there is expansion and there is contraction. So it's not all one way. It isn't. If your perception is contraction only, then perhaps after Jeremy's session you'll see more about getting out there. Sorry, Jeremy, I just keep plugging you. You know, what can I say? So here we have either an opportunity or a challenge. And we are being asked to build something new by deconstructing something that currently exists. That's the hard part, I suspect. We are asking to do it mostly by the end of 2014. Well, actually, we're not being asked at all. We're being told. And the captain there is telling us, you know, make it so. So our days of strategizing about how we could enhance and improve and innovate services are behind us. We have been given our marching orders and off we go. And I do think that the community as a whole is certainly up to the challenge of responding to that demand. I think probably, has pretty much everyone in the room, has their department had some kind of deficit reduction impact announcement? Has anyone not had one? And has anyone's department not affected the library? No. So that probably is one new thing about this particular reduction program. It was very specific about certain services, libraries being one of them. So I thought I would take a look myself at this word innovation. I knew what James was going to offer us. But these three definitions, because there's hundreds of definitions, came from a website, which I should probably tell you about, which is called innovationexcellence.com. And if you'll notice the first one, it says a new match between a need and a solution. And I thought that was interesting. But really, I think even the needs are new, not just the match between what we offer and what the client needs. The second one is the one I find that I relate to the most. And of course, the italicized words, innovation is what happens when creativity has a bottom line. Or, invention is the mother of necessity, which is really where I think most of us are now. We're being forced to come up with new ways even if we couldn't have before. And then the last one is, I think, a test. You know, radical innovation occurs when a new product, service, process, or system replaces its accepted predecessor and renders it obsolete. And I noticed James used the word obsolescence this morning. I think what's really important that we understand here is that obsolete may apply to how we do things. It doesn't apply to what we do or the value of what we do.